Welcome to another battle report, folks. This game we have got Soren with his SS up against Laurence with his Soviets. Welcome back to the channel, Soren. It's really good to see you back again. And you're playing Germans again, mainly because Laurence wants to keep working on his Soviets and try name out. But your German list today, what have you got? And maybe tell the viewers a bit about it.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing a Panther list because I was one of the main forces behind Bring the Panther Back. They had in February trying to get people to feel the Panther because it's just outclassed in all ways by the Tiger, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be on the table. So I'm doing my best to get it playable and seeing how it works. So it's built around an SS Panther company because it's the cheapest and it's the best way of getting 7 Panthers on table. You could use the vibration and you could only field 4 Panthers and use a Panzer Grenadier platoon instead. It's definitely a better list, but then I won't be fielding a Panther company. And that's what I need to do. So we have the SS Panthers, and the HQ has the old hand rule. So as long as he's in command of a platoon, he'll give them a skill of 3+ when doing tactics. So I'm going to try and keep the HQ close to my main platoon. Obviously, I'm going to end up with a Panther platoon in reserve if I enter the mission with reserves. So keeping 4 Panthers together, trying to deal with enemy heavy armor, and then see how it goes. In support, I had two Puma troops of 2 Pumas. It's not my favorite unit. There are 2 scout units, 2 scout cars that have a bad last stand. So as soon as I take a casualty, it's going to run away. But it has one of the things that the Panther list needs. It has a medium gun. It's cheap, so if I get the chance to shoot at medium tanks or RT or anything, I can use the Pumas instead of wasting my AT-14 from the Panthers. Because the 7 tanks, if they move, that's only 7 dices. It's not going to kill much. So that's the plan with the Pumas. I have a West battery because I like artillery, and it's actually one of the cheapest artillery units you can get in the game. The SS would be better, but because I want to bring a plane as well, I can't take the SS West because they're not in the preparation book. I have the tank hunter plane to kill light targets like Achilles, because they are the main threat to the Panther company. So they can eat Shermans and Achilles, and I can't shoot guns, it won't work as well. But any medium tank, that's just going to be superb. If I can get them on table. Normally, everybody knows planes are 4+. Don't base your strategy on that. And finally, I have an SS Panzer platoon with 7 stands, no Panzerfaust, no Shrek, no nothing. They are upgraded to Hohenstaufen, the best infantry, so they are careful, hit on 4+. And just for shits and giggles, I have a soft skin cast. They are put in because of the painting. I love the models. I'm not sure they're going to be really useful, but at one point, that doesn't matter much.
You never
when
know.
Playing for fun anyway.
It might get them rushing from one point to another desperately.
Yeah.
It might happen.
You never know. You never know. So I'm just tired of seeing Lucky all the time. So use my 1 point or something else.
Yeah. No,
so
it's a good idea.
This cannot be recommended for tournament play. This is not the best list you're ever going to see.
Nothing I do is recommended for tournament play either, but that's another story. Quick question about the Pumas. Are they careful veteran types or the SS types?
Yes, they are careful veteran types.
Right.
It's the Puma company. No, the Panther company is from the SS book, but it's a vibration. It's a vibration book.
Right.
So all the support is vibration, and the Pumas, their support. So they are careful veteran, and the Vespa fearless, careful veterans, and the Stuka, and then the Panther Grenadiers are an SS formation, but upgraded to be fearless.
Okay, well.
Veteran, careful, yeah.
Right. Okay, well, let's see how they do. Let's see if you can bring the Panthers back. There's a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Laurence, as I said, he's playing Soviets. So I'm going to go over to Laurence now, and we'll see what he's brought.
That's going to be interesting.
Spot on. Welcome back to the channel, Laurence. You're back onto the Soviets again. So tonight you're playing Soren, but if you can maybe let us know what's in your Soviet list tonight and what your thoughts are about it.
Thank you, Frank. It's very good to be back. Enjoying Russians, Soviets quite a lot. Just kind of tinkering slightly. Going on the last game I played, I kind of went for quite a predominant T-36 list with the 76mm gun, and I thought I could do with a bit more modernizings, per se. So today, it's another T-34 list with a T-34 in command, 76mm. I've got 2 platoons of T-34s, 1 platoon of 5, which includes 2 with the larger caliber gun, the 85mm, and the other platoon is 6 tanks, and 3 of those are of the 85mm caliber gun. So hopefully that will, if I'm up against more generic German tanks, that might help me a bit more. To complete my formation is 6 82mm mortars. I don't think they're overly great. They are 4 points, but what I do like about them is that they boost my formation up just with a slight amount of points, and you get quite a few stands involved, so it's still quite a rough take to get all 6 kills. So it's just to support my formation, really. I will be relying on my support quite a lot, I think, today. I do have the 4.122 millimeter howitzers. I think that they seem to be always generally quite worth their points at 8 points, so they're pretty damn good. Something I've not tried yet is some big ISU 152s. I've got to say, when I looked at the tank in the flesh, I was like, I'm going to have to give that a try. So I was humming and hawing about choosing them over what I had previously in the IS-2s, but I thought I'd try something different. They also have the option for artillery as well. But if you get them up close, there's no one. I just needed them against Peter, perhaps, in a few games ago to kill that last man in church, if only I had them. But to complete my list, I do have a rifle platoon that consists of 13 stands with a commissar and the old trusty flamethrower. I don't have any cards to play with, and that completes my 100 points list. So looking forward to it. Slightly tinkered from my last version. Will it pay off? Who knows?
And this list, you're using the non-hero variant of the T-34s.
That's correct, yeah.
So they're green, so it's a 5+ skill check. So
yeah,
you won't necessarily be shooting and scooting a lot.
No shooting and scooting, and to be fair, I did go for the hero in my last game, and I think there was one pivotal moment that it did pay off to get that hero upgrade. But as yet, I still, in my 3 kind of games that I've played, I've not really had any assaults required. So it's always nice to have the heroic version, but I think the standard green Russian hopefully will be up to par today.
Well, thanks for that. We've gone over the list now, so we're going to go away, sort out the mission, and then come back and get on with the game. Soren's list then, in the flesh, so to speak. Company command, 2 platoons of 3 Panthers. Now, there's a wee bit of proxy in there. That's meant to be another STK. I've said 7 half-track. So it's quite a small but tough formation. Then in support, you've got his SS Grenadiers. Now, there's a bit more proxy in here. Their Puma's incredibly bright. I know. I had to dig these out of the garden hut. I'm not joking. I don't normally play Pumas myself. And a little 8-rad there, because it's the same kind of footprint. So, an 8-rad, 3 Wesps, and my one and only plane, which is proxying in as the Stukas. So, Soren's SS Panther list. Laurence's list in the flesh, so to speak. So you've got your company command, the T-34 76, platoon of 5 T-34s, 2 of which are 85s, a platoon of 6 T-34s, once again 2 of which are 85s, and to beef up the formation platoon count and offer some valuable support against soft targets, you've got 6 medium mortars. They're backed up by 4 ISU 152s, 4 122mm artillery, and a big chunk of Hero rifle Supermen. So, there you go, Laurence's T-34 formation. Flamethrowers are a weapon option that can be added to most Soviet infantry units. They will have the same rating typically that you will see for the rest of the unit, though they may have a weaker assault rating. They are also heavy weapons, which means you're not going to be launching assaults with them, and they can counter fire. The rate of fire is typically 4 on the move or stationary, with an anti-tank of 2 and a firepower of auto. When hitting armoured vehicles, the saves should be rolled using the top armour. Infantry or soft skin targets that are hit by flamethrowers just have to re-roll successful saves with that auto firepower rating, meaning if the save is failed, then the target is destroyed. These guys can be bullet magnets to anybody fighting against them, so be careful with them. Try to get them in close to use their limited 4-inch range. The ISU 152 is a heavy Soviet assault gun. It is aggressive, so hit on a 3+. It is a motivation of confidence, so that's a 4+, though it's 5+ in counter-attack and better in last stand of 3+. Skill level is trained, so it passes checks on a 4+ unless it's in assault, which is a 5+. Its movement's not too bad at all, with a tactical of 10 inches and a cross-country dash of 18. The gun can fire in bombardment with a range of 64 inches, anti-tank 3, firepower 2, or in direct fire a range of just 20 inches, rate of fire 1, anti-tank 13, auto firepower with the brutal forward firing and slow firing rules. So this tank is very heavily armoured, but its short range in direct fire means you have to close to within 20 inches before you can get any effective shots put in. SS Panther tanks are aggressive, so they're hit on a 3+. They motivate well though, being fearless on a 3+, but they are skill level 4+ for trained. They can take advantage of the company commander's better skill level using the old hand rule. The mobility is typical for a medium tank with a tactical move of 10 and a cross check of 2+. The armour is good on the front with a rating of 9, weaker on the side but still not too bad at a rating of 5 and top armour 1, so you want to point these towards the enemy. The gun on this tank has a 40-inch range. It's a 7.5cm gun with an anti-tank rating of 14. So it's going to take care of most allied tanks very easily, and it has 4 MG dice for those softer targets. There you go folks, there's tonight's players and tonight's lists. So will it be as expected, maybe with some aggressive play from Laurence with his Soviets as he's been doing, and will Soren be doing lots of complicated manoeuvres, using all the various special rules and such likes that he likes to glean from the game? Well, let's see. It may all depend on the mission, and we're going to go over to that next, and then on to deployment. Let's take a look at the mission. It's similar to, but quite different from Hasty Attack in version 3. Both sides have to take an objective in this game, whether you're defending or attacking. There are 2 objectives in each deployment zone. Let's have a look at the mission rules. You can see there is immediate reserves for the attacker, ambush and delayed and scattered reserves for the defender, which means when the defender has successfully rolled for reserves, they've got to nominate the platoon and then see where it ends up. You know, it could be anywhere. It could be in the corners, could be in the back edge, so you're not guaranteed to get them where you want them. So that can be quite tricky. But there's an ambush that could do them in good stead. There's no minefields or any such thing, so it could be quite an open game. So let's see what happens. Okay folks, we rolled on the mission matrix. Laurence chose manoeuvre, Soren chose attack, and we got contact, which is the old sort of hasty attack type mission. So it's still a fair fight kind of mission. Both sides have to take an objective in this game. It was a bit tricky for them to figure out what was going to be in reserve, the 60-40 split. So let's start with the deployment zones that Laurence has chosen to defend this end of the table. It's got a nice big town and a wood and things within the deployment, the objective zone. So the deployment zone's all the way along that white line there, and then you can see this box where the objectives go. Soren stuck one objective there and one there to stretch the defence as much as possible. Similar kind of setup, but just a smaller zone on the other side for Soren to defend and Laurence to attack, and there's one objective in the hill behind where the wesps are, and one in between the wood and the hill over on the other side. And then for deployment, there's a pre-ranged in marker on that from the wesps, pre-ranged in marker on that from the mortars. So 5 T-34s, 2 of them 85s over there, trying to hide behind the wood, but there's not quite enough space. It's very close to the edge of the table. And then there's the mortars, and then the hero rifles over here. And that's the flamethrower. We'll see how long it takes for him to die. And then Soren has, and there's also 6 T-34s, 2 of them being 85s in ambush. And then Soren has deployed his anti-air here, Pumas here, that's with a little bit of a spearhead move. Hull down Wesps, hull down Panthers with some, 2 of them anyway behind his sight on some T-34s at the wood, and then platoon of infantry there. So in reserve, Soren has got 4 Panthers in total and a couple of Pumas. His planes on the table at the start, and then in reserve for Laurence, there's his artillery, his 122s and his ISU 152s. So Germans are going first in this game. In terms of movement, well, they got the plane arrived but no reserves arrived. In terms of movement, the Pumas moved up for a bit of machine gunning, nothing else moved. And then in terms of shooting, the Wesps ranged in over here on the mortars, managed to kill one. The Pumas did a few shots at these guys, but they've gone to ground and did not, only got one hit, no kills. And then over here, the Panthers, the 2 of them were able to see a tank sticking out that side of the wood and one sticking out this side of the wood, and the one at the end got absolutely clobbered, smashed to bits. This one was missed, but then the Stuka came in and managed to get 2 bales and a kill on 3 of the remaining 4, so they've taken an absolute hammering. So definitely first blood to the Germans. Over to the Soviets. They're not going to be able to roll for any reserves yet, remember. Not sure what they'll be doing this turn. Soviet turn 1, so the mortars unpinned. 1 T-34, the 85 version, bailed in, 1 didn't, but at least it keeps them away from a check. They've got a better last stand check than the hero ones, but you don't want to be checking at this time of day. So no movement. There's not really anywhere for those T-34s to go. They're currently out of sight, so they're not going anywhere. If the plane comes, the plane will come. There's not much they can do about that. So I just came down to artillery. There was a ranged in marker over there for the mortars, and they managed to get, there's 3 bases under it, they managed to get 1. So a wee bit of revenge for the Soviets this turn. So over to Soren for turn 2, and he's going to have 2 dice for reserves. Turn 2, so in terms of motivation, the infantry stayed pinned that were hit by the mortars. In terms of reserve, 2 dice but still nothing. However, the plane came back. And no movement otherwise, everything's just sitting and shooting or keeping its head down. The Panthers are just, they've done a job and they're just keeping themselves intact and not risking flak shots to reserves or such likes. So the Wesps were ranged in over here already and managed to get another mortar, so that's him lost a reroll misses. And then the plane came in again. That's 2 turns in a row, and Laurence just can't make a save. He's not made a single save yet against that plane. Soren's failed a few firepower's mine, but he managed to bail an 85 and kill an 85, so it's not bad going for a plane. He double bailed at 76 too. So we'll have to see what happens to them in the motivation check next turn, and still no reserves yet for Laurence, remember. At turn 2, in terms of motivation, the mortars unfortunately did not unpin. The 85mm T34 got back in, the 76 didn't, but they passed their last stand because they've got the not one step back ruling last stand on a 3+. And then, quite wisely, Laurence has decided to seek some cover from that plane, and his unbailed tank managed to cross-check into the woods, and that's it. He's got nothing else he can do just now. He does have his ambush platoon, but he's keeping it up his sleeve at the moment. At least next turn he can start rolling for reserves. We'll see if they turn up. German turn 3, and Soren's finally got reserves, and he's brought Pumas on. And now, remember, Soren's reserves are not scattered. He doesn't have to roll, see where they come on. He's coming on that corner and dashing on. Tried to follow me, but it didn't work. But he's got to put pressure on his objective. He got his plane again. So in terms of shooting, the planes managed to kill the Bale 76 and bail the surviving 85. So that's pretty grim. The Wesps had 2 targets, managed to get 2 hits. One failed save, but failed firepower, so they've survived that. And then it was just the Pumas who fired their main guns this time, never got any hits, and then just backed off down a wee shooting scoot. So we'll have to see if some Soviet reserves start to arrive, but even if they do, the plane's probably going to kill them the way things are going. Soviet turn 3. These guys unpinned. That survivor bailed in and stayed, but then just staying put, watching the objective, I think. And then it was time, reserves, 1 dice, but no reserves. Then it was time for an ambush. These guys ambushed here, so they were concealed, kind of drawn out along that line there, and then tacticaled their 12-inch. And then in terms of shooting, they managed to get 2 hits with 85s. The 76s needed 6s because of their slow firing rule. But so, 2 dead Wesps, so that is a wee bit of revenge. The mortars managed 2 hits over on those infantry, but caused no casualties. So it's kind of like these games sometimes happen. It's kind of like a big twisting fight where both sides are going for the objective at the same time. So let's see what happens in German turn 4. So German turn 4, 4 dice for reserves, only got 1. The West legged it. Fearless, works every time unless you roll a 1. The infantry unpinned though, and they're moving forward towards the objective. In terms of movement, the Panthers in the centre moved off the hill to get shots at the marauding T-34s. These Pumas here are still dashing as quick as possible to threaten that objective. These Pumas here backed off a bit, keeping in short range. The half-tracks moved around to the back of the hill, and the reserve were brought on over here to fire at the OI. And the plane came again. It's 4 tons of planes. These Panthers facing down there, so it's basically a huge crossfire of Panthers, Pumas, Stukas. And you can see what happened. The fact that there's only 1 destroyed tank there is a bit of a miracle. I think there was 4 ones rolled there for firepowers, but they're in a pretty bad way and they're facing a hell of a lot of nasty stuff, so we'll see what happens. So that was it for the Germans. Really the shooting was restricted to over here, so we'll see what Laurence can do and see if he gets any reserves and where they turn up. Right, so Soviet turn 4, the T-34 in the wood legged it. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but he's legged it. There's a lot happened in that turn. 2 dice for reserves and they arrived, and they were both 3s and 4s, so anyway on the back edge. So what happened was the ISU 152s moved up here to get shots on Pumas, and then these guys moved up here to support the miraculously still alive T-34s. Incidentally, they all remounted. Right, and then in terms of movement, they needed a 5 up because they're green to get a blitz, and they passed it. and then they moved up around the side of the Panthers. And that was it really, apart from the ISU 152s moving on. When they arrived, the one that was firing around the corner of the hill had a shot in the open basically, and if it hits, it kills. It got 1 up firepower, so it got a hit. The mortars managed to range in on the advancing infantry and got 1 kill. And then over here it went absolutely horribly wrong. There were 4 tanks past the side, needing 4s and a 5 for one of the T-34s to get hits, and they all hit 4 hits, and one Panther had a chance to save against 2 76mm hits, and it failed. It died, and then the other 2 Panthers were straight to firepower, and so 3 dead Panthers. That's just a bit nuts. But I think that's the way Laurence plays, charge, and hope for the best. That could easily have been the exact opposite. But there you go. So, 1 more reserve Panther still to come on the table, and 3 over here. We'll see what Soren can do too. I think maybe even just hold on just now. German turn 5, and the last reserves arrived. Company command over there. These Panthers have come down off the hill, using a long range to get shots at these T-34s. One had to make a cross check to get over that hedge, to get in range, but failed. The infantry, by the way, didn't unpin in the plane, and it really needed to turn up. Though you can't complain actually, the plane's done great, but it didn't turn up this time. The Puma stuck around, and then it came after these mortars. Right? The other Pumas have moved on, holding on the hill with the anti-aircraft half-tracks keeping out of sight behind them. And then in terms of shooting, between them, the Panthers and the Pumas managed to kill an 85 and barely an 85. So they're getting whittled down. It's getting close there. And the Puma came storming in, all guns blazing, to assault these mortars and got blown up. It got hit in assault and failed to save. And then the infantry have just stayed put and dug in. So it's close, but the Soviets over here are getting pretty threadbare. We'll just have to see if they can survive the critical turns it needs to keep a hold of that objective. Soviet turn 5. The last reserve came on. It was a company commander who's finally showed up to lead the guys. He rolled a 1 or a 2, or a 2, I can't remember, but he came in this corner and he's dashed all the way up there. And then the T-34s are getting themselves behind the shadow of that hill. The infantry are moving up to help, and ISUs are approaching that side of the table to see what they can get up to. They fired at the dug-in infantry but needed 7s. Then over here, the artillery here ranged in, had to push it back a bit beyond the hill, but could still catch everybody. Didn't cause any casualties, but one of the Pumas died to direct fire from the T-34s. The infantry here also got a few hits on the half tracks, but caused no casualties. So we're starting to get somewhere now. It's really getting critical around here. We'll see if Soren can swing over and take out that last sort of solid platoon of T-34s. German turn 6, so the infantry, fearless guys, didn't unpin. I think now, Puma run away. So the Panthers are racing over. 3 of them didn't get shots this turn because they've had to dash. The company commander, he blitzed out, got a couple of shots, managed to get 1 hit, and then another 1 for firepower, which has been the tale for Soren today. The plane arrived as well, by the way. It got 2 hits, and Laurence made his saves. The anti-aircraft half-tracks managed to kill a base of infantry, and that was about it. So he's still in there. Depends what happens to those anti-aircraft half-tracks next turn. That could well be game, but we'll see what happens. Soviet turn 6, the bailed out T-34 got back in, and then everything moved up. You see the T-34s and the infantry moving up because they just had to kill the 2 anti-aircraft half-tracks, and that would meet the victory conditions because the Soviets started the turn within 4 inches of the objective and would end the turn with no enemy teams active within 4 inches, and that's what happened. It actually started with infantry shooting and smashed the living daylights out of them, to be honest. So there you go. Quite unexpectedly, I have to say, a Soviet win. And we'll go over the recaps, but my first impression on that game was they've got dud shells. The Germans have got dud shells. There were so many ones, roll for firepowers. But we'll go over to the recaps and see what the guys say. Well, there you go, folks. I'm not sure what happened there. To me, it kind of came down to one turn, but Soren's got a few insights as well over and above that. Soren, what did you think of the game and the game, basically? What did you think of that?
Well, I thought it was great fun, as always. Flames of War is just a fantastic game. You think you have the victory in your palm of your hand, and then the next second it just evaporates, and you make one tiny mistake, and the dice roll doesn't go precisely your way, or then everything can happen. It's not that I didn't have bad dice. I think I had pretty fine dice. Just at certain points in the game, the wrong dice came up, and of course tactics. When I got my 3 Panthers from reserve over at the left flank, my right, and should shoot the T-34s, I should have stayed outside of blitz plus tactical. So staying outside of 40 centimeters from the T-34s, it makes it harder to hit, but every time anything gets in the flank of the Panther, they start dying. It's a super tank at long range, it's a super gun, just stay at long range. But I got excited and thought, hey, I can just stop it and where it starts. And I hit a lot and it was great. And then all of a sudden, firepower starts to fail. Remount all the line and then just whoopsie. And losing 3 tanks, that's not that big of a deal if you're playing Soviets. But that's 45% of my force when playing Panthers. And that's the only thing holding my right flank. So the second they evaporate, well, I have to relocate everything else to try and save. And as in a lot of other games I've played with these Panthers, it's too late. Then you start dashing, and a dashing Panther is 0 shots. So it might as well be a Puma, anything. So remember, stay at long.
Yeah, stay at long and buy Stukas.
Yes, buy Stukas. Well, what happened there? Normally I look at the play just for, yeah.
They were really effective. I'd not seen the anti-tank 9 cannon before, and I can see that doing a lot of damage. I do have a Stuka lying in the back somewhere, so I might even paint it.
You just paint it up and get it on the table. Well, the matchup, of course, was nice for the Panther list. This is a really good matchup. It's a couple of heavy tanks and then medium platoons of medium tanks. Everything should be in my favor. I get to attack. We get a meeting engagement. We get the delayed scatter reserves. Everything is going my way. And I still messed it up.
Yeah. I think, your Panthers weren't all on the table at the start because of the mission, and that makes parts of your force a bit more vulnerable because you can only be strong in one place, and you lost the Wesps because of that.
Yeah.
And even if you'd have destroyed all the T-34s on that side, without the Wesps, it was still not a foregone conclusion, I don't think, because you'd have to have gone to the other side of the table and taken that objective, and maybe time would have been against that. Yeah. So it was a tricky one for you.
Yeah. So I came close.
Yeah, I thought you had it, to be honest.
Me too. I was the Pumas were contesting, and he had 2 dice rolls in reserve. If just one had clicked, it would have been better. But you can't blame the dice. It's also a game of skill. So I didn't play everything right. I played something right, but other stuff didn't go as planned. And live and learn. Just hopefully I remember it next time I play the Panther list.
Yeah. But it was a good game for me to help play, because I was like, so many points in the game. I was like, no. It's like, oh no. So hopefully the viewers enjoyed it as well. But but thanks for playing. It made another great game, and we've learned more from playing you again as well. You know, like I said before, playing with somebody who is experienced like tournament type play and such like is really helping us understand the rules. So it's been great having you back on the channel. And
it's just been a pleasure.
We'll have you on again, and we'll see what interesting lists you bring next time round.
Yeah, but it won't be anything competitive. I can promise you that.
That's good. That's the best starting point. That's what I do anyway. Soon I'll be able to bring my Romanians back.
Oh yeah, they're looking good. So that's going to be fun.
So thanks again, Soren, and we'll see you again. I hope soon.
Hopefully. Bye, Frank, and bye, everybody.
Right, Laurence, I don't know if it was just the way that the order of playing the game, the way certain things happened, but it looked to me as though you kind of snatched victory from the jaws of defeat there. How did it go for you?
Well, I thought it was going to be an early night for me after pretty much turn one. I think could I have done anything better in that corner? Perhaps I could have maybe deployed him in the woods, perhaps, maybe so, but you couldn't really account for, that their playing in that corner was instrumental to that. And that's what you get with planes, because sometimes you keep rolling and you just don't get them on, and then when you do, it's just in essence, it was a good day for planes in that corner, and it changed. I think that my idea was that I was going to ambush on the left hand side, and I was probably going to do that pretty much turn one, turn two, and race forward. But I was hesitant because of what was happening to my right flank in terms of such damage coming in turn one. So that made me hesitant. But once I realised that platoon had pretty much gone, in essence, I had to go for it, because if I didn't, then I would have lost. And I charged forward. I was fortunate that Soren, I think, he just didn't destroy as many as he potentially should have in terms of dice rolls. And then I was quite fortunate in my rolls to get back in business. But it's kind of proved again that if you want to win with such a list, that you have to be really aggressive. And maybe I should have gone for attack as my kind of ideology at the start of the game, but I kind of like the idea of manoeuvre, because my list is probably quite good against my last opponent, maybe when it was like a standardized kind of tank list with Stugs or Panzer IVs. But when it comes to Panthers, it's real difficult unless there is some kind of maneuverability going on. And it proved, you would probably suggest that your flank is quite secure when you have such a predominant force as Panthers and the aircraft Pumas. But in one turn, they were all gone, and the tide was turning. I've played lots of games in the past, and people have got a bit hissy because they perhaps thought that they've lost maybe in turn one or two, but you just never know how it turns out.
It's very true.
And I think I've come on here a few times and thought perhaps I should have maybe lost, but it's just at the start of the game, which I kind of think tonight's game was really good, because I was definitely on the back ropes, so to speak, and then before you know it, I was the one perhaps pressing him against the ropes, and it led to ultimately my victory. When I was creating a list, I was pretty much thinking of attack, and I didn't really take too much look into what I would do if I had to keep off. And I kept off my artillery because I had an idea of keeping my infantry, my big 152s, and the artillery, but I think it came to 61 points or something, so I couldn't actually keep them on, so that's probably why I had a bit of a strange format to come on.
True, but you kept those T-34s on, and you kept playing the game the way you've been doing with the Soviets, which is be aggressive, take your chances, and then break into the opponent's deployment zone and get around the side of things and cause havoc.
There's no other way to kill Panthers if you're playing T-34s apart from down that shot of vodka and off you go. You literally got to go for it. And like whenever I've always created lists, you would think such a tank as a T with such a small gun, but they could still kill Panthers, and they probably did in real life. And that's the way forward, I think, if you do it. But it's a gamble because ultimately it could have failed very drastically, and I could have been brewing my coffee quite early tonight. But it turned out good for me so far. My role for the Soviets, I think, is 3 wins and a loss, albeit to one last man in the church, I guess.
Not at all bitter.
So I'm really enjoying it, and I think it was good to learn from like an international game. I think that's it's really good to highlight rules that perhaps we've maybe continued from version 3 just to get another person's perspective on the game, how they create their list. But in essence, you can see that you can tell that Soren is like a competitive player, but at the same time, it kind of reminds me that if you do go into competitions, these, although competitive, they're not remarkably, but it's all in good spirit still. So really enjoyed it. It was great to play Soren, and I hope to play him again soon. It was a really good game, and fortunate for me, it was a victorious day for me.
Well, thanks for playing. Thanks for coming along again, and I'm hoping in the not too distant future we can have an actual face-to-face, but let's see how that goes. And in the meantime, I'll see you again on the next one, Laurence.
Thank you, Frank. All the best. Take care.
So there you go, guys. There's the summaries from Soren and Laurence. From one point of view, would I have done anything different? Well, probably would have played the game maybe my way, but I can't say there was anything really wrong with what either player did. Once again, it's one of those missions where the person on the front foot at the start is most often the person on the back foot at the end, but it's one of those missions where you have to go for it. You're not going to win the game just by sitting there. So, hope you enjoyed that, folks, and if you did, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. If you'd like to subscribe but haven't done so already, please do. It helps us build the channel, and I'll see you again in the next one. Okay, so what I got to do is say something, and I've already said something, and you say something. I'll just make sure it's picking it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so just a wee ramble, just a wee blah 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 or something.
Yeah, but can you hear me? Can you hear me? SOS.
Oh my goodness! Right, if it's recording, I'm keeping that. Right.